How's it, punters? Welcome back to the Best Sports Betting Podcast. We're going to be chatting about quite a lot today. We're touching on a lot of things, but we're going to be zipping through them because a lot has been happening and there's a lot coming up. With me always is Simon. Simon, let's start off with the EPL, a kind of double game week, if you want to call it that, where they had games over on the weekend and then a couple during the midweek as well. I think where should we start with the midweek ones?
Well, maybe with the Merseyside derby, because that was actually the first kickoff of the weekend. Well, I suppose that was the second slate though. But
the first one. I mean, we had Poole taking on Newcastle. That I think we touched on it. We did touch on those in the last episode.
Yeah, I like the 2-1 scoreline there. Not that I would ever really bet correct scores. It's a bit of a dice roll, but
Merseyside derby. Let's go there. So yeah, okay. I watched it. It was a great game to watch. I really enjoyed it, but no goals. Everton were really up for it. Great occasion. Lots of chances. Liverpool just fell off in the second half. I feel. But,
sure. I mean, that's quite impressive for the Toffees to hold Liverpool to a stalemate. I mean, obviously good in front of their home fans and pretty unexpected. I mean, this Merseyside derby's been very, very, very one-sided for quite a long time now. So very, very well-earned point there from Everton.
Yes, no, great result for them. Bad result for Liverpool. The form just continues to kind of wax and wane, and you're not really sure what's going on there. Really missing like Mane and a couple of injuries, and just not great. But I'm sure they'll come right. Then Brentford's getting 5 goals against Leeds with a Tony hat-trick. I don't know if you caught any of that.
Yeah, I didn't, but I mean, I don't think anyone could have expected over 5 goals in that game. I would have had unders written all over that. But I mean, a good 3 points on the road for the Cherries there. I mean, that's just much more of a goal fest than anyone expected. One that also surprised me a lot was Newcastle Palace, though.
We kind of got robbed there with that goal.
We did. I liked the over 2.5 there, but no goals in that match, which really, really surprised me. I mean, plenty chances, 15 goals between the two of them on target. But Nick Pope is actually
class.
He's actually made the most
class.
He's made the most saves in the EPL so far this season, and he made a good few on Saturday again. So he's really proving to be quite an asset for the Toon.
Yeah, no, he's an absolute class player. I'm glad they brought him in. And I was a bit skeptical at first, spending so much on a keeper. And we've had a mixed bag of keepers at Newcastle over the last couple of years. But he really is just a class act, and I'm really glad we've got him. I think it really bodes well for the future for us there. But then we had Spurs beating Fulham, kind of expected there. What I do want to bring up about this game week? Also we had City drawing with Aston Villa, also an interesting result there. But that goes into my point, is that a lot of the big teams have been conceding goals. I don't know if that's something that you've noticed. There's been very few clean sheets from the big sides, especially against the kind of minnow teams. Very, very interesting. And the minnow teams aren't exactly getting a lot of shots on target, but the shots that they're getting are converting. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, and I mean, just going back to City, I mean, geez, Haaland, I mean, after his hat-trick against Forest, which was in the first game week of the two, he's on 10 goals already. I mean, Mo Salah got 32 in the 2017-2018 season for Liverpool. So he's already on track after 6 matches. I mean, he could, if he carries on at this rate, he'll smash that record. Yes. I mean, obviously these things are quite unpredictable.
And I'm happy to eat some humble pie here, because I was looking at that at the beginning of the season and we spoke about it on the podcast, and I thought that Salah was a good shout for top goal scorer.
Yeah,
and I thought Haaland was a bit short, and he's coming in. He's definitely going to be the top scorer, I think.
Absolutely, it looks like it. I mean, it's still early days, but I mean, to have nearly 2 goals a game after 6 matches is very impressive.
He doesn't do much. He's just a classic box striker, like a poacher. I want to call him a poacher almost, but he's got all the physical prowess and strength of a number 9, and the speed and the awareness. Just such an amazing player.
And he just snatches that ball as it comes in.
Exactly.
That's the thing. I mean, City have always had obviously a lot of forward potential, but they haven't had a fantastic finisher. I mean since Aguero, I don't think, to be honest. Of that kind of quality. So it really is just, I think it's going to lead to potentially not a very interesting season, to be honest, in terms of the title race, but we'll see.
Yes. Step aside Ronaldo, I think. Because wow, you could put a granny in like a granny in the match with Haaland's brain, and that granny's going to score goals because she'll still be in the right areas where the ball. You know what
Exactly.
I mean? Look, she might score many, but she'll she'll still score.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
And then obviously the big one was the one that I kind of I got wrong was United against Arsenal. United beating Arsenal 3-1 there, and I think that scoreline was a little bit flattering to United. I thought Arsenal played pretty well.
I agree. I think I don't think United play out of their socks. They're certainly up their performance, and I was quite confident in Arsenal, especially at the odds of nearly 2-1. I like them there. So I mean, from having a lot of success in our betting in the Premier League, this week was an absolute disaster, and also just in terms of the favourites. I mean, we had all the favourites come in last week, pretty much, and this week it was a really, really mixed bag. So, but yeah, I mean, look, United now four wins on the spin. I mean, 5th place on the table. So yeah, things are definitely looking up for them. So yeah,
I'm not buying into it just yet.
No, I'm not either. But certainly promising. It looks. It just might make things a little bit more interesting.
Yes, I just think it's very early days. We have a Chelsea side that's nowhere, that I think is still better than United. We've got a Liverpool side that's also kind of just nowhere. That's also better. So it's going to be interesting to see how they do there. But good win for them. It was one of those games where I feel like Arsenal were unlucky to lose, but United did enough to win.
Yeah,
it's a really bit of a smashing the Gunners kind of record that they were running on, that nice little winning streak. But yeah, so that was the weekend of EPL. Lots of action. I hope the next weekend's going to be as good, and we'll chat about that in a bit. But then there was SA versus Australia in the rugby. Yeah. And I said we will probably play better after the first test match, but I wasn't confident about it last week. But my kind of initial outline of thoughts did come to fruition, in the sense of us losing one and winning one.
Absolutely. I mean, we both kind of lean towards the Springboks. I liked the winning margin there, 1-7, which obviously was totally blown out that bet, because South Africa ended up winning quite convincingly. Amazing try from Kane Moody on his debut. I mean, that was just such a great snatch there. And he ended up scoring a try in each half of the match. Obviously, match ended in a massive brawl.
Yes, it's a bit.
I mean, Mapimpi got in the face of Korobeta. I think this is his opposite wing, who's the guy who did that horrible tackle on him last week when Australia beat us. Well, sorry, the week before last when Australia beat us. He was kind of like, shaking it in his face, kind of almost like as a revenge try. And then, that just kicked off. Jeez, I mean, all I'll say is I think Evan Etzebeth is like the scariest player in all
rugby. And he's like laughing. He's like a big friend. Okay, not a friendly giant.
No friend.
I want to call him a friendly giant, but he's kind of like, he's not scared of anything.
He's not. And can you imagine if Faf was on the field? Because I think he's the second most aggressive player on the field. I mean,
Faf would get a snot clap if he was up against a big like
it was, it just was. It was quite something to see, but I'm glad that Faf was on the field, because I think it would have escalated even further.
But it was good to see them making up afterwards. He brought Etzebeth a beer. They had a beer afterwards, so that was all nicely kind of tied up,
Sure. Anyway, good win for the Springboks. I'm interested to see what's going to happen.
Yeah, table's looking interesting.
It is. It's just very unpredictable at the moment. But I mean, New Zealand
smashed.
After losing their first test against Argentina, came back and absolutely walloped them. So I think they're probably still the side to beat.
Yeah, I agree. And then we had some of the Dutch GP, a little bit of drama there. I watched a little bit of that in the bar. Nice start to that race. And
I must say, Max might be winning most of the race. That doesn't mean the races haven't been really interesting to watch. Again, sort of Hamilton, sort of grabbing the spotlight a little bit in his team's decision not to pit him. He really should have come in for soft tires when Verstappen and Russell came in, and he was made to stay out. I think he probably would have got what he wanted if he really asked for it, but he didn't. So he stayed out in his medium tires, and that really cost them, because it meant that they all passed him, including Charles Leclerc. So. Yeah, it was actually a very interesting race, despite the fact that the favorite won, and has done on many occasions this season. But I mean, Max also worked a lot harder for his win this week than he did last week. Even though last week he came from 14th on the grid to first, he had to work really, really hard to actually win this race. And I mean, there was a point in time where it looked like Hamilton had a very good shot of not a very good shot, but at least a shot of winning. Yeah. So, yeah, but also Ferrari again, huge blunder strategically and coming out of the pits. Carlos Sainz was let out too early, and he ended up riding over Perez's wheel gun, which led to a 5-second penalty. So again, just Ferrari just not getting their tactics right. And now, it looks like Max it's almost impossible for him not to win the Drivers' Championship.
Yeah.
The bookies have him at 1 to 100, I think, to win. So, but also interesting, I see, and I predicted this before the break. Mercedes are actually favored now to finish above Ferrari, which I think is right. I think that they are just looking more consistent. I mean, Russell
they've come right later on in the season, whereas
they have.
It's opposite trajectories, really.
Yeah. Absolutely, and George Russell, Hamilton's obviously is just always a threat, but Russell's consistent driving is just really done well for the team.
Yeah. And then Simon, US Open, we had Williams playing in her last tournament. Or was she 41 years old? I think 27 years she's been playing for.
Yeah, no, quite something. I mean, look, no one. I don't think anyone really expected. Maybe her diehard fans would have expected her to make a big push, but not surprised to see her go out when she did. I think it was the second round. Yeah, my outright pick, Taylor Fritz, got bombed in the first round. So that was a bit disappointing. But yeah, I'm now rooting for Carlos Alcaraz. Hopefully he can break his Grand Slam duck. He's still around there and fighting to the semis. So I hope he can get the win. But yeah, it's been interesting as always, and lots of drama on and off the court. And yeah, I mean, Kyrgios. I know you asked me about him and what I thought of his outright chances. He was a big favorite in the quarterfinals against Kashinov, and ended up losing in 5 sets. Very, very interesting match to watch. That was late last night. But yeah, we'll see. In the ladies, I think Garcia's got a very good chance. She's actually gone up to second favorite now behind Swiatek. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Awesome. Yeah. So what are your fancies in the men's side there? Like,
I hope Alcaraz can win. Okay. We'll see. Medvedev got dumped out quite early by Kyrgios. I think I can't remember him, but I think Alcaraz is the favorite now. I just like him as a player. Obviously exciting to watch. 19 years old. Really big talent. So yeah, I'm rooting for him.
Okay, well, let's see what happens. I haven't watched too much of the Open this year, unfortunately. I think there's just been too much else going on that I've been interested in. And yeah, let's jump over to some of the upcoming sports. We've got Premier League coming up that we're going to chat about. Interesting fixtures here. Nothing big other than maybe the City versus Spurs match. I think is one that we'll probably chat about the most. Fulham versus Chelsea, London derby going on up there. I can't trust Chelsea at the moment. I'm not touching them. I think there'll be goals in this one. Both teams to score looks a banker in that match.
Yeah, I think you're right though. City Spurs is like sort of the humdinger of the upcoming weekend. But yeah, I'm quite excited to see what happens when United go to Palace, because I don't think things are going to exactly.
I think it's going to be a little bit dull, to be honest. I think Palace are a solid defense, and I don't think United are. I think it's two similar teams meeting each other.
Yeah, I must say, as much as I'm intrigued in their counter, I do think unders is probably where it'll go there. But yeah, I think Palace will have a good show of themselves. But yeah, not many bets jumping out to me this week. I think this is kind of going to be one weekend in the EPL where I kind of keep my powder relatively dry.
Well, call me crazy. I mean, looking at the City versus Spurs game, I think Spurs are getting a lot of disrespect from the bookmakers here.
Well, I was just about to say, double chance at around 2-1.
Yes.
Look,
I know. Maybe a draw at 5.4.
Yeah, I mean, it's always a risky prospect betting against City, and I mean, obviously with Haaland at the apex of a massive offense, it's always tricky betting against them. They are definitely the side to look out for the season. But I mean, so far, Spurs, they're second on the log. There's been nothing wrong with any of their performances. Perhaps they were a little bit disappointing against Chelsea, but I mean, wow, it is it's a big price, and it certainly is tempting me. I just wish it wasn't City that they were coming up against and get that price.
I can't ignore this price there, and by all means, City win this game 9 times out of 10, or But I think Spurs are flying very much under the radar at the moment. Like you said, sitting high in the log. Harry Kane's just been slotting away goals week after week. He doesn't score hat tricks, but he'll grab that goal. He's been good. Look, Song hasn't been as amazing as last year, but I still think 7.6 is just way too high, especially considering some of the results City are going through. But I think both teams to score, he has a really good punt at 1.76. I think that's a really good shot.
Maybe, a possible way to approach this game would be sort of Dutch it, which is kind of when you sort of place, 2 bets in the same match, kind of sort of not opposing each other. But for instance, like, I think one way to do this would be, if you like Spurs, right, you could take them on a double chance at nearly 2-1, and then take City to win by 1 goal. Because let's be honest, I mean, I don't think it's going to be a walk in the park for City. Yes, of course, they have the potential to absolutely smash them. But I mean, let's say that if City win, it's going to be by 1 goal. You're probably going to get a very nice price on City to win by 1. And then, taking the Spurs double chance is kind of like a secondary, or maybe that's kind of what you think has got a better chance of winning. You can kind of come out, even though you've backed two bets, you're going to come out with much better than.
But you can lose both, though. That's also
you obviously can lose both, absolutely. But that might be one way to kind of go about it. Sort of, just having that sort of City to win by 1 in your back pocket as a sort of backup plan. But then getting with Spurs, something like that. And you'd probably end up with sort of, kind of odds of like 2.5 on average, if one of the bets won. It would just depend on which one did. Obviously, neither could win too. So, but I don't know, something like that maybe might be the right way to go. But I do think there is a bit of value in Spurs for sure.
Then the other one is Arsenal 1.35 against Everton. As much as Everton kind of put up a fight last week, I think going to Arsenal's a little bit different than playing at home in a derby. I really fancy Arsenal to put a couple past them, to be honest. I'm looking here for something like Arsenal to win over 2.5. Arsenal could concede. They'll concede a couple of silly goals, but Arsenal to win an over 2.5 is 1.88. And if you don't like that, I think Arsenal on the handicap as well is going to be some decent value. On the -1 handicap, I wouldn't go anything bigger than -1, -0.5, that kind of thing.
And there is also Champions League tonight.
Yes. We had some Champions League last night,
Yeah, we did. There wasn't too many
I watched Haaland
surprises there.
Doing his thing again.
Yeah, exactly. There wasn't too many surprises there, except
Chelsea lost though.
Yeah, Dortmund, Benfica, Real Madrid, and City all sort of romped to easy wins. But then Chelsea obviously falling to Dinamo Zagreb. In the first fixture, which was quite an interesting result. But yeah,
come out and apologize for that one.
Yeah. That tonight you got Atletico hosting Porto, Napoli hosting Liverpool, Spurs hosting Marseille, and Milan hosting Bayern, among a few other ones there. I must say I quite fancy Liverpool there away. I mean, Klopp's got a fantastic first round record in Champions League. And I mean, if you think about the fact that, let's be honest, they might feel like the Premier League trophies kind of running away from them already. Might be their only realistic chance of meaningful silverware, shall we say, this season. I must say I quite like Liverpool there, 2.12 for a win in Napoli. It's not like traveling to.
Ooh, where are you getting that 2.12? Where did you see that?
That's a G-bet.
Ooh, get that, because I'm on Betway 1.96. So quite a big price difference there. Yeah,
I see Liverpool have actually come into even money on G-bet since I looked at the price. So there's some money coming for Liverpool already there.
Yeah, I'm not getting involved at all in the Champions League. The season, I'm probably going to be staying clear of it, I think. I find the betting a lot more erratic, and I find it's something that I've noticed over the years is that the big teams always get the big odds at home, all the really short odds, and it's very difficult to find value with some of the bigger sides, especially when they're playing. When the smaller sides, sure, but I don't know enough about them to make any confident picks. I'm going to be staying away from it for a while. I will be following it, but unless I find a bet that comes up that can tempt me, I don't think I'll be getting too involved. But it's good to have it back as always.
Yeah, sure.
Then, Simon, we've got the Cape Town Sevens taking place this weekend. You going down there on Friday?
Yeah,
Gonna be
I'll be
throwing
there with
beer
my.
bottles and
Oh yeah, no,
guzzling
absolutely.
castle.
Having like a lunatic. Yeah, well, I'll be there with my 72-year-old mother-in-law, who's completely befork about sevens. Like she
I
is.
hope she's a bit more behaved than you are.
I don't know. No, she loves sevens. I mean, she's a big rugby fan, but sevens in particular. Yeah. So looking at the outright odds, there Fiji are favourites about 3.75 on Hollywood bets. Blitzbook are sort of quite close behind them at 4.5. And then you got sort of New Zealand, Australia, and Argentina that are the only real teams that the bookmakers kind of fancy have a chance. But yeah, Fiji and South Africa are at the top there. So we actually get a first round bye. So we'll play the winner of Germany and Chile in our first match, which is the last match of the day on Friday. So that's at 7:10 in the evening if you want to watch that. Yeah, it'll be 20 degrees, which will be nice. So
Nice. Yeah, warming up.
definitely, yeah, beer drinking weather. So yeah, look out for me in the stands, and I promise I'll down my beer in one go.
He will.
I come up on the big screen. Yeah.
And then, Simon, we've got some cricket coming up. Let's chat about that. South Africa versus England, the third test. First test, South Africa won convincingly. Second test, England won convincingly. Third test, I'm leaning England, just with the momentum. But
Yeah,
I haven't looked into it too much. So
we did chat about this briefly last week, even though it wasn't coming up right away. But yeah, so I think, look, I'd be hell of a surprise if either team, just ran away with it like they did in the first test. It just doesn't seem likely to me. But yeah, I have a feeling England will win in a tight match, but I don't particularly like their odds of 9 to 10. I must be honest. I
no.
don't think there's any value there. But I think I would think England will win a tight one here. But yeah, look, obviously based on how the other two tests have gone, it's very hard to tell. We've had two absolute wallopings on one for England and one for South Africa, so it's hard to tell. But I would think England will win a tighter game here, but I'm not going crazy. If it was over even money on England, maybe I might be interested, but not particularly enamored by those odds.
Yeah, just even money over there on England. South Africa 3.25. Drawn a bet on England 1.5. I'm probably not going to get involved with those prices either. I'll maybe take a small bet on England at the beginning, just to have something to kind of follow.
Yeah.
Maybe adjust that as the match goes on. But then, Simon, the last thing we're going to take a look at today is the Italian GP.
Yeah, sure. Third, I mean, we have such a busy calendar this year, and it just gets busier and busier. I mean, I remember years ago, you would basically have a race every second week. And now there's very few weeks where they don't.
And there would be long breaks as well.
It was. So the mid-season break is normally always 4 weeks, which they did have this season. But now on either side of that, they've got pretty much, I think there's only 2 or 3 weeks in the whole season where there's not a race.
Crazy.
So it really is, it's jam-packed. So this is our third in a row now. It's the Italian GP, of which there's 3 Italian-based races this season. So this is Monza, which is probably the most famous of all the Italian tracks, and in fact, in the whole world too. Sort of average to slightly long in length, 53 laps. The guys will race, so it's a nice circuit. I mean, it's very kind of classic. Lots of fast corners, long straights, and then chicanes that require very heavy braking, which can lead to a lot of accidents. Yeah, so there's one really, really nice hairpin bend just before the final straight, through the checkered flag, which is called Parabolica, which is really, really cool to watch. Honestly, it's fun. Every time the races go around there, it's fun to watch. I must say, looking at the betting, I mean, I did find something that I quite liked, and I'm not wild on the odds, but I just said I think Mercedes are consistently the last few weeks been better than Ferrari, and you can actually take Mercedes to beat Ferrari on Sporting Bet in a head-to-head team betting market at 1.95. So yeah, so they're the underdogs there at 1.95, and I think that's fair. I mean, Russell came in P2 on Sunday. He's been Mr. Consistent all season, and obviously we know what Hamilton can do if things go his way. So yeah, I mean, I like both the Ferrari drivers, I do, but I just think that pit wall can't be trusted to make the right decisions. The Ferrari cars certainly proved itself to not be the most reliable as well. So I just think in a head-to-head, Mercedes look the right option. As I said, like 1.95, not the hugest odds. It's only it's not even odds against, but they are the underdogs in this battle. So there's quite a big margin there Sportingbet are taking, to be honest. But I just favour them over Ferrari. So that seems a bit of a no-brainer to me. But looking at the outright odds, I'm not backing Max at that price, and yeah, that looks like the right way to go for me. Just a Mercedes over Ferrari win. Okay.
Mercedes over Ferrari, Simon's pick there. And best bet of the week then, Simon, as we wrap up.
Best bet of the week, sure. As I said, I don't like too much in the Premier League. I would love to back Spurs. I just don't know if I have the kahunas for it. To beat Man City, or at least to get a draw out of that.
At those odds, you aren't getting hurt though, huh?
You're not. You're absolutely not. I just, I don't know. It's a tricky one. I'm honestly, there's nothing that I'm absolutely in love with. I think probably if I had to pick a best bet here, I would probably say it would be the Mercedes over Ferrari bet in the F1, but not massively confident in that.
Okay, and what about Liverpool versus Napoli? That one got anything in there?
Yeah, well, the thing is that price has actually come in quite a bit now. So, I like the 2.15, which you're not getting anymore. I see there's evens over at GBet. So, the value's it's not quite there anymore. But clearly, it looks to be the right side to be on. If if you're chasing steam, and you're looking where the money's going, it's certainly going to Liverpool. So, though you might not be getting the value that you're getting, I think there's certainly people that are probably some sharp bettors who are interested in Liverpool there. So, yeah, I wouldn't put anyone off that either.
Well, my best bet's going to be both teams to score in that City versus Spurs game. Obviously, Spurs have a Champions League match tonight against Marseille. But I still think there's going to be a couple goals. I don't think there'll be too many goals in it. But I think Spurs are going to, as I mentioned earlier, put in a much, much better performance than people are expecting. They've also shown a bit of grit this season against, if you look at the games against that one that they had against Chelsea where they probably should have lost. But, they showed some great fight to stay in that one. So I think I'm going to be doing that. Haaland to score.
Jeez, what is that? 1.2 or something?
Oh, I'm actually looking. I don't think they have the goals.
No, I'm exaggerating. I'm guessing it's going to be about
1.5 maybe.
1.55 or something like that. Yeah. But the draw there again has got to be value. If you think that Spurs are going to have a good account of themselves, but there's a couple of bets there. I mean, as I said, City to win by 1 goal potentially, a draw, Spurs double chance. There's a lot of sort of bets way over even money that have a very decent chance of coming in, I think.
1.56 Haaland anytime goal.
Oh, I was one tick off. I said 1.55.
Yeah, I was 1.5. So close there. Wow. How short is that, eh?
Yeah.
See, what odds are you going to give me on him not to score a goal then? Where's that market?
Absolutely. I mean, I tell you what, they wouldn't get. So in a
1.55 both sides.
So exactly, it'll be something like. No, honestly, if you're looking at a two-way market like that, normally in tennis, if a player's 1.5, the opponent's 2.5. I can tell you what, if they had a not to score, there's no ways they would give you 2.5. Not a chance. They'll probably give you 2.1 or 2.15 on him not to score at the most.
I'll actually keen. Maybe I'll tweet out some bookies and I'll see if they'll give me odds on Haaland not to score this weekend. Not that I think it's a particularly good bet, but just because I would like to know what price they'd set it at, because we know what the price is on him scoring.
Exactly. No, I mean, they should be giving you 2.5, but my guess is they're giving you 2.1.
I think they'll give us even money.
Even money.
I think they'll give us watch the space. But yeah, my best bet's going to be both teams to score, Manchester City versus Spurs. Guys, thanks for tuning to the episode. It's been a good one. Lots going on. Hopefully we have another action-packed weekend, and we'll catch you in the next one. Have a good one, guys. Cheers.